You shouldn't have favorites, but, all right, bush isn't my favorite. These guys are great. So we privileged that Black Rhino here on Nokalali. There's only about 5,000 left in the wild. And when they first arrived back in 2015, we were all full of nerves, because you pick up the guidebook and it tells you black rhinos are bad, black rhinos are dangerous, run away, climb trees, do whatever. There's very little information about a black rhino. You've recently done your trails guiding. What did they teach you about black rhino? Look at that. Nothing.
They can be moody. They are hard to find.
Yeah.
They can hide behind
They
kinds of grass,
That's a bit.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, but what do you do with how do you deal with them?
How do you deal with it?
What did they teach you in guiding school?
In guiding school.
Because I don't remember.
It depends on bits of which one. One guiding school they said, okay, so we're in the neighborhood of a black rhino now, so open up your backpack because you need to climb trees when it's coming. And then they run away. Well, they get either they're secluded, and when you're just getting close, they move up. But that's also good.
Yeah, but it's so limited in what you learn.
Yeah.
So we've learned it the hard way and easy way. But let me just get back to an Israeli and the tree.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, it was myself, Derek, Emma, we did a trailing assessment with Colin Patrick. So it's Colin Patrick, Bush Ninja, us three guides, and he's assessing our ability to follow animals. And he chose black rhino because of their secretive behavior, their way they move through the bush. They're just a larger version of a leopard. They do the same things. They don't go through open spaces really. They tend to go around edges of open clearings. They move through dense thickets. So they are a hard animal to trail, and it's a good one to test your ability. And we had been trailing for quite a bit, and I don't know, I don't know who it was. So Derek was on the tail. I don't even know if I was there. But anyway, so basically within a few meters of trailing this thing, suddenly the black rhino presents itself. Colin Patrick just shouts tree, which is the command you shout to guides, because guides then just know where they're going. All right, so everybody runs to trees. Israeli sits down behind the tree, but the tree is this big. And we all look, everyone's looking at what the and the black rhino runs away. Okay? After then Colin says to him, what the hell are you? He said, tree. In Israel, that is a tree. Anyway, a funny story, but it's exactly the point. But very limited knowledge, and we've learned a lot, and I don't think we know everything. But the one thing we start off with is I think I spoke guys on walks, their personalities vary. So you have some black rhino that are laid back, cool man, let's go to smoke a bifta, we're cool, we're just going to be hippies and float around the universe and shit. All right, like Schlooper the Pooper, he's a big male, he's usually quite calm. And then you get sociopathic, narcissistic, murderous black rhino like Fuzzy. Okay, all right, and then you get all the personalities in between. There's some normal rhinos, there's some, so less or greater extent. And yes, male and female have different responses, but not all females are alike. Some females will charge, some females choose to run. Bulls, territorial bulls, very confrontational, inquisitive, curious. They come, and can lead into a charge of various and greater degrees. And so, like you said, what do you do? Trees, what stuff? All this stuff. So, if you're in an environment where there are black rhino and you don't have the privilege of knowing where you are and you don't know who you're looking at, you go to worst case scenario every time. Dangerous, potential danger, move to point of safety. The backpack thing is interesting. I will save my talk about it in a bit. Move to your point of safety, get behind trees, get in trees. It's probably the best option before the situation escalates. But they can just come, you might not see them. Like Lee, not even that long ago, he knows the bush. He's been in the bush a long time. He was doing a trailing assessment with Sam and Yordi, another guide. They hadn't even gone very far. And Dot, the female rhino, came out. And Lee, half loaded, saw it was a black rhino, didn't load, stepped aside. Black rhino went past. All right. He had already shouted rhino tree, so all the guides had shifted. All right. And then it turned and came back on him. I don't know if he dodged a few more times. I don't know what happened. Eventually he fell over with his rifle on his underneath it in his chest. And he fell over and he was just lying there thinking, I'm dead. And the rhino came up and put her head on his face and just went, breathed on it, and then walked away. When it comes to it, they're also very inquisitive animals, so they are curious. So especially they can come and investigate, and that investigate can be discharged as a little investigation. And like you said, they usually will run off. They come and look and they just run away. I didn't mention this about how they run away. White rhinos will run away from danger and stop and turn to the danger. You approach more, they run and stop. Sadly, that is why poachers can kill them so easily. They know a white rhino will always stop and turn to the danger within a few 20, 30, 40 meters. Black rhino run, but circle around downwind. They get in a position where they can smell you. So there's an old hunting story that black rhinos stalk you. It comes from the fact that they will move downwind from you. And I've had it when I've been walking, and I try to get around two rhinos, and I could hear them. Every time I moved left, they moved left. Every time I went right, they went right. And it was getting me quite frustrated because I wanted to get around them and I didn't want to approach them. But they were making sure that my scent was always within them. So black rhino run, but they don't go away. They will go downwind from where your position is. So as a guide, you must pay attention to wind direction, move the other way. Okay, that's your situational awareness thing coming in again there. With the charges, generally they say they don't break off a charge in a real charge, and that's in the book. I think maybe it was in the book 10 years ago. So going back to Emma, who you saw in the video, their first experience with a rhino was they were three guys walking no weapon. Female rhino, her name was Elizabeth. She charged. They all stood there, big eyes in their face. Rhino stopped right in front, huffed and puffed, turned around, ran away. Okay, but yeah, you've got to just be very careful with them, and I think that's the thing. And that because they are much more sensitive animals. They're much more, so anything in the environment. I want to rather show you videos and then talk about how I would propose we should deal with them always. Well, so always is a bit of a big word, but quite cleverly. So I'm going to show this video now. So this is Faketa. I think I mentioned him to somebody. His name is Faketa, is light. Means light. This is in a car, and I want you guys to watch carefully. And if you can tell me why he backs away, you get a beer. What?
You said they rely on hearing and smell a lot, and the sharp whistles would be enough for it to back off, but then the bird came and say, hey, we're good.
Fuck it off. Fucking 2 beers to that man. I'm impressed there.
Yeah, very good.
How did you pick that up so quick? Anyone else need to notice the bird?
Yeah.
What is an oxpecker to a rhino or any other animal? What is it? Yep, they are. Sometimes. And they talk to each other. They communicate. I've been discussing our communication towards animals. Animals talk to each other too. So at some point, that oxpecker would have flown off the back of that rhino, giving it an alarm call. That black rhino is saying there's a danger now. Watch the video. Over a bit of time, that whistling is not doing anything, by the way.
Oh.
Okay. And then the head starts to turn to the side. He's listening to his mate. And then he takes a few more steps. Then you hear it, the bird's flying back. He's like, really? You sure they're okay? And he lands on his back and says, dude, just chill out. And that's what happens. And then the rhino backs away. Basically, the returning of the oxpecker to his back and then telling him that little noise is basically saying, okay, guys, maybe I overreacted. I'm sorry. They're not so bad. And then we're moving off. I'm just putting words into it. But it's just that oxpecker giving reassurance to that rhino that things are okay. So everybody's communicating with everybody else all the time. There's a far side. Here's I talk about far side cartoons. You guys didn't know that. There is actually a far side with an oxpecker in the ear of a rhino, and there's some tourists in the long grass, and like the caption is, they're calling you fat. She's a rhino. It's exactly this, you know. It took me longer than you. You're smarter than me. I find it really interesting how that sort of communication between interspecies communication is so, you know, sensitive and interlinked. It's very cool. Okay, so this is 2018. This is the first time I've ever had to confront a black rhino. And we'll watch the video. Watch me. It's not a great video, but watch the video and then I'll discuss it. I'll tell you what I did and why I did it, and I'll tell you why I wouldn't do it today. Black rhino don't care. Okay, what did you see?
Rhino running towards it,
Yes.
not to the gate, so well done.
Yeah, well, that was my first concern. I'll tell you why. So that was the PR. But did you see my hand? I was undoing my backpack. Not to climb a tree,
No, to throw it.
to throw it. Because, you know, I've heard if you take off your hat or you throw something out. I thought I'd throw it and the rhino would attack it. So we see the rhino and I started to say, guys, let's retreat. There's a nice fallen down big tree. And as we climbed over, we broke twigs and made a noise. That rhino's head came up and figured out there was somebody here. So now I'm sitting. So this is a private school in America. So they're not all American kids. Some are diplomats, kids from China and bankers from Mexico and all this other shit. One of the kids' father is a general in the military. And I've got the teacher, Ryan. And now the rhino's stalking at this group. And I look to my right. I look Ryan. Ryan's sweating bullets already because he's thinking like me. Liability. So I think to myself, well, I don't know what to do here. And we were behind not a very big tree. And it was a marula tree. It was quite light. I said, if the rhino hits this tree, we're going to all get hit. So I got up and I walked away and I clicked my fingers. And I pulled the rhino away from the guest. My logic was this. By myself, I can probably duck and dive. But then I suddenly found myself standing in the open and I did this 360. Shit, Mike, there's no trees. So standing in the open and then, you know, so I decided to shout off the rhino. You can hear me saying, hey, hey, hey. And the more I shout, the rhino comes. And I shout more, the rhino comes. All I was doing was giving that rhino a freaking target. So then my brain goes, throw out your bag. Rhino takes the bag. You get a chance to move again and you do this kind of, I don't know, fire and move movement or some shit. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. But as I threw that bag out, the rhino's coming at me. I just throw my bag out. I don't know how far I can throw it. Maybe to you guys at the back there. I just throw it out. And as it hits the ground, the rhino gets such a fright. Head comes up. There's something else here. And he just turns. And you can see him you heard him puffing past everybody else. And then it was fine. I diffused the situation. But what I learned from that is there's a couple of things, and they're also illustrated in the next video with Derek, is that me shouting wasn't a good option. I thought shouting might deter him, but he's a territorial bull, he's there, he's with a female. Me shouting was just encouraging him, or making him aim. In future, if that ever happened again, I'd try to be quiet as I can. But remembering the bag going is something else, and that's what I do now is I'd pick up a rock or a stick, or even if it's my radio, and be prepared to if he approaches, just throw it out next to him. And what it does, because they become focused on you, and you're relying on their sensitivity as an animal, by putting out a displacement sound, that rhino's focus is broken, and he gets concerned that there's more than one, and their sensitivity, it makes them go. Shouting is bad, I've decided. I think Kai's uncle, he walks on Salati and he says he just talks calmly to them and keeps them calm too. I've never tried to talk calmly to a rhino. And then that's also, speaking to anti-poaching, they say, yeah, it happens often. We just pick up rocks and we roll them under their feet as they come. And they get a fright and they turn and they move away from their focus if you disrupt their focus. So I think the idea is to remain calm. And we had a black rhino female and calf. It was Dot, and she was walking through an open grassland area, and we were on the edge of the trees. And I remember with the group, I just said, everyone take off your backpacks. Put them in front of us. Our big packs, we were walking with heavy packs. Put them in front of us. You know, and I said to them, she's going to probably walk past, but she changed it to trajectory, and then she started walking at us, and I said, guys, leave your bags, and we retreat away and move around the bush. So we retreated away and hid behind the trees, and I heard her come, that puffing sound. She walked up, and then I'm going to tell you what she did, because I went back and investigated. She charged again. I remember it was with Jess, there was dust ball. I remember just throwing a rock over the tree, and then she ran away. It's exactly what this is happening here. We gave her something else to focus on, and then she went up to them and mock charge, and then my rock out to the side, and she turned and ran. Because it's a display, she was so focused on our bags that something else suddenly appeared in her consciousness and whatever it was, and she didn't like it, and she turned and hightailed it away. So I think the trick is to be calm, and if you have big packs, you're doing a multi-day, even your small packs, take them off, put them in front of you, retreat away. But the more we shouted, the rhino kept on coming, and she wasn't able to climb up, and obviously a little bit of panic and stuff like that, but it's exactly what I've been saying. That rhino had a target. Don't give the rhino a target. Give it something else to think about. And this comes all down to animal behavior. Learning animal behavior, working with it to your advantage. We're smart enough as a species to do these things. It's a sensitive species.